Coming up on this episode of the Spiro podcast.
If you're not making time for what you enjoy and what you like, then you're doing business wrong.
Welcome to the Spiro podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. With your hosts, Todd Kivimaki and Craig Magrum.
Hi, and welcome to the Spiro podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. Spiro is a software package, a software platform designed to help you manage your day-to-day business in real estate photography and video, and really help you grow it and scale it as well. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Craig Magrum, and with me each and every week, our co-host and Spiro founder and owner and fellow smoking connoisseur, meat smoking connoisseur, Todd Kivimaki. How's it going, Todd?
What an introduction, Craig. Thank you for that. Yes, it's good to be back here and with all of you. Had some fun podcasts lately. Had a great guest with Colleen and then shared some of our workflow issues, and we love hearing your feedback on that. So that's exciting. But the more exciting is the meat smoking, right, Craig? Now you shared with the team this morning that you smoked a couple of pork butts this last weekend, and
I did. For me, smoking meat it's like a Zen-like experience because I know I have to clear my day to pay attention to what I'm doing. So I can't have anything else going on really. Yeah. So for me, it's relaxing. It's like, I've got nothing else to do. I'm concentrating on smoking some really delicious, flavorful, good meat. And I haven't smoked anything for quite a while. I haven't had time. So it's kind of nice to block out a day, do that. I smoked it out at our campsite and invited some of our camping neighbors that are our fellow seasonal campers. And who's going to say no to free barbecue, right? So we have some new good friends that
I bet.
I have to say, I try not to pat myself on the back too much, but Todd, the pulled pork turned out really good. Really good.
Nothing better than that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like feeding the neighborhood cat when you feed your campground neighbors good barbecue. It's like once you feed the neighborhood cats, like you are the cat people, and the cats just keep coming to your house. So, and that's not me. That's some of my neighbors.
They did say that they would come again for barbecue. So, but there's a group of them that they do this almost every weekend. They all get together and they share a meal, over the weekend, and everybody brings something. They're like, "Hey, come on, you can come anytime, join us." So we're in the in crowd now.
You're in the in. That's great, Craig. That's awesome. Just one good barbecue.
That's there you go.
What it can get you.
Right.
And honestly, so this is your kind of thing of why this is just a small talk before the podcast, and it somewhat is, but it's serving a purpose as well in the fact that, and we'll get to the main topic, but if you're not making time for what you enjoy and what you like, then you're doing business wrong. Because remember, we all started our business. And again, let me define business. I've done this once or twice, but a commercial profitable enterprise that works for you. So you didn't start business to get a job. Okay, is the business running you or are you running the business? All these questions. And it's important that you don't let the business run you. I kind of had somewhat the same thing this week, Craig, as my wife asked me, and she's so intelligent and so just she knows what I need, and she knows when I need bumped in the right direction. But she's like, what can we do so when you come home, like you can let work go?
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, wow, like that. So, that set it home for me because that means one, that's a little bit of a realign for me that one, I'm getting home way too late. And two, when I get home, I'm so wired for work that I am just not even there.
Right.
So that was like a come to Jesus moment for me. And it's like, wait a minute, like, wow, Todd, like you just made yourself a job and you are getting worked by the business, and you need to be a little bit smarter and diligent in what you're doing. So we're going to talk about that today. I'm excited to dig into it, and we have some questions for you, and we do because we care for you all. And they're questions that we ask ourselves. So there was Craig and I's example of how we're doing this in our own lives and own business. So we're excited to get to those today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, before we do dive into that, we always like to give you an update on Spiro software updates and what might be coming. So Todd, what do we have on the agenda today?
Yeah, Craig. So we have some exciting things. So we are looking at a lot of the infrastructure of the upload, the download, the optimizing. So we're creating larger and bigger and faster gears in the background. So we're doing this because we've heard from many of you these items and optimization. And the idea is that as we optimize your guys' flows, the way that you use the system, we are going to give you back more of your time. So we are looking at that right now. Have another very large integration coming in with a third-party vendor that we're excited about. And a couple other goodies along the way. So I'm not sharing too much because I don't have release dates, but the gears are getting bigger and better, and we're putting in those finesses that you all have asked us for. So excited to get those out to you all.
Excellent. All righty. Well, should we dive in?
Yeah, let's get started here.
All right, good deal. All right, so we are about halfway through the year, just a little bit after, just over halfway through the year. And that's always a good time, Todd, to kind of check in with yourself and check in with your business and find out where am I in terms of the goals that I set at the beginning of the year. So if you go back to the beginning of this year and go to some earlier podcasts, we talked about goal setting. So this is kind of a good check-in moment. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So halfway through the year, it's a great thing. And for me, at least, it's unbelievable that we're already halfway through the year.
Right.
And the thing that we find is, at least for me, is the second half of the year actually goes faster than the first half. Yeah. Because we are in our summer months. That always flies by. And then you have the beginning of school. You have a couple holidays in there. And it's like, boom, it's Christmas and New Year's, and it's January 1. So it's important to pause a little bit here. And that pause might seem impossible for you at this moment because you're just hustling. Like I see you guys post on Facebook. I know you're working all the time. And you might be saying, Todd, there's no way that I can slow down right now. And I'm not asking you to halt the train. I'm just asking you to pause and think about this, just to give some thought and clarity to it. Because if you don't, I'm afraid that you might be headed off course in the wrong direction. Right. And you're going so fast that you're going to steer the ship and drive it so far off course that by the time you realize you're off course, you can't make an adjustment, or it takes you exponentially longer to adjust to get back on course. So the first question is, what Craig hinted at is just, where are you at with your goals for 2024? Do you know where you're at? Did you set goals to begin with?
That's kind of important.
Yeah, that's kind of important. If you didn't set goals, here's just a real easy thing to do is, how do you feel right now? Do you feel at ease? Do you feel like everything's going well? Do you feel like, I just have this unsettling feeling? Your gut, a lot of times, the idea of trust your gut is true. If you have an unsettling feeling, then you probably have set some goals in your mind, and even subconsciously in your mind. Mm-hmm. And you just know there's some loose ends or some things hanging out there that you need to attend to. And if your gut feeling is everything's going okay, then, and there's exceptions to this, I'll just admit that this is a very just rough estimate if you didn't set goals. If you feel everything's going okay, just ask yourself a couple of these following questions, because sometimes our feelings get the best of us. And that could be either way. Sometimes you might be a glass half empty person and you think everything's going bad, so you're never going to have this great feeling. That's when you need to use the facts and data to tell you if you're wrong. And if you're a glass half full type person, you might think the world's great, but it could be literally burning up underneath your feet and you don't know. So pluses and minuses, and you know your personality and you know how you assess situations. But if you have set goals, where are you at? Here's an easy thing. You all have, these just pertain to business goals, which is not the most important in my mind, but you all have in Spiro a metrics section. It's a beautiful dashboard that has a ton of metrics in it. And it has things like revenue, number of jobs, clients, unique clients, revenue per client, market share. Now you do have to interact and give us data for us to give you the percentage for market share. But you could simply just click on that. So in one mouse click, you could see where you're at and what you've done. Now, if you have not set revenue goals, you can set revenue goals in those and click the settings and set your goals. Now, if you're not in Spiro, that's okay. You can set these goals. You just need to know what your revenue is, and you need to know where you wanted it to be. So just for our business, our real estate media business, I can see I clicked here, and this is a number that I look at every day. So I know what these numbers are. But I can see very quickly that we are up 29% above our goal month to date. And then for a year, we're up 20%. So that's a good thing. And that is a good kind of barometer of where we're at. Now, we've had to work really hard, and there's some other things that we need to fix because we ran so hard. But from a standpoint, if you just want to get a baseline for your goals, you can click that metrics section, and that will show you where you're at every time you click it.
Can I give you a personal example
Yes.
of the glass half full, half empty? So part of what I've been dealing with the last couple of months is I've been a glass half empty type of mindset. So I've been working with Steve and Chris, our director and director of sales and sales manager, telling them, guys, things feel really slow because I've had some days with a very low number of shoots for this time of year, and I'm not used to that. So I've been panicking a little bit and then looking at it as glass half empty. And what Steve has pointed me to is exactly what you just shared, is that market share number. He said, Craig, there's going to be ups and downs. And with your market being our northernmost, you've had some weather issues, there's just been some different things that while number of shoots maybe isn't where it should be, overall looking at year to date, our market share up here is actually up. He's like, you're doing what you need to do. You're going to have days or weeks where things are just weird, but keep doing what you're doing. I just made a presentation to a brokerage yesterday at the time of this recording. I blocked out some time, got up to this brokerage, and already have one or two people that have responded from that presentation.
Nice.
Had a couple of 3 or 4 new clients this week alone, because one of our raving fans at a certain brokerage has really just been going to bat for us in recruiting more agents within that brokerage. I can't explain that other than the relationship that we've built with these various, realtors that we shoot for. So yeah, look at the hard data, because I overanalyze and I get inside my own head too much. And I'm sure a lot of business owners do. You start to fret and worry about some things. But you got to anchor yourself to the actual data. So good point of, looking at things like market share and whatnot.
Yeah. And you have to give yourself some time as well. You can't expect that you do a brokerage presentation and you're always going to get that instant gratification that you get orders or you get calls. It doesn't mean that it's not working. I can think about some deals that I had signed many years ago that took me 4 years to get. Literally 4 years from I went back to emails, and the first time I'd contacted this individual, it took me 4 years to sign the deal. And you're going to have a variance of instant to 4 or more years to make something happen. So don't be too hard on yourself.
Right.
Just keep going with the correct actions. Guys, sales is not that difficult. And if sales is a bad word for you, you're just serving your clients. But just like Craig said, you're just building relationships. That's all you're doing.
What helps too is stay consistent. Keep at it. Stay in the market. Your name will get familiar with realtors. I know a lot of realtors, and because they know that I've been pretty consistent and I've stuck with this for a long time, more referrals start to build over the years and the business will naturally grow. Like Todd said, give it time. Don't hang in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And a phrase I just love, I use it all the time, is if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Right.
It's just so true. It's just most people, and not you all that are listening, you are the high achievers. You're the overachievers because you're listening to this podcast. You're listening, you're putting in to your mindset, to your knowledge. So it's not you guys, but most people, and this is a good thing for all of you that are listening, most people are going to hit a little resistance and they're going to go, oh, this is uncomfortable. I don't know how to
push through this.
Yeah, exactly. Just a funny example. So my kids, they wanted to start a freeze drying business. So this is all people freeze dry candy, and you can preserve anything with a freeze dryer, but candy is the thing right now. And so I've run them through this entire kind of business starting, just kind of methodology, if you will. It's really not that great. It's the only word I could think of, but I've run them through starting a business. So we started with market research, and we learned about what was out there. We learned about how it was done. We listened to other people that had a business. Anyways, long story short, they have a freeze dryer now, and they had to take out a loan for the freeze dryer. That was from me. So awesome. I'm not charging them any interest. So I was,
well, that's good.
I didn't charge my own kids interest, but they have a loan and they know what that payment is. And anyways, long story short, they have their first batch. They have the bags, they have the packaging, everything in one. And they went out to go sell some, and they went around our neighborhood. Well, our neighborhood, the people that were home just so happened to be mostly retired people. Okay. The kids weren't home. They're baseball and things like that. And my kids came back defeated because nobody bought anything from them. Okay. So I was like, okay, so what'd they say? Well, one of them was diabetic. I think two of them were diabetic.
That could be a problem.
Yeah. Another one doesn't eat sugar. And then a third one, I forget what it was. So I'm just like, okay, that's okay. We've hit. And at this point, they are like, well, this is never going to work. No one's ever going to buy freeze dried candy from us. Like, this just isn't going to work. And that was just a cool opportunity because it's like, no, this is going to work. You just have the wrong demographic of people. You can't sell freeze dried candy to a bunch of diabetics. It just won't work. So
I think you can take a situation like that though, with a market that you think isn't the right market, and you can still find the need within that market. How many of those retired people that are diabetic have grandkids that come over to visit them? You just look at it from a different angle. Get another set of eyes on your business, or on the challenge, or on the no that you got. Get a different set of eyes on it and look at a different angle you can come at it from.
Yeah, that's a perfect example, Craig. And that's exactly. And then I kind of went down the line of, okay, so who do you typically think eats freeze dried candy? And we looked at that. And, okay, did you go to those people? Okay, none of your friends were home to begin with. None of your friends know you're doing this. And so you're probably doing the same thing. You're going out there, and you might go to the one realtor that doesn't want to pay for anything, or, they take their own photos, whatever it may be. There's a million examples, but just because you hit a little resistance, like, just keep pushing through that. You will find where it breaks, and then it gets easier. You get momentum going forward.
Right.
So, okay. My question number 2 for you all here is, what do you need to say no to? So in thinking about question number 1 is, where are you at with your goals halfway through the year? Now, what do you need to say no to? Okay. What opportunities do you have on your plate that you need to get rid of.
Wait, Todd, wait. We should get rid of opportunities? Let me play devil's advocate on that one.
I have an analogy for that, Craig.
Okay. All right.
If you are in the circus and your act is you are the plate spinner.
Okay.
Okay. So you're the guy that your act is you have a bunch of poles and you're spinning plates on poles. You're going to spin 1, 2, 3. If you're a good plate spinner, you're going to do 10. And then you're going to hit a point to where your first plate's going to stop spinning and you're going to keep setting up plates. But the problem with that is your plates are going to fall off much quicker because it takes you longer to spin up a new plate because you have to put momentum, force, you have to get that thing spinning so that it's going to spin for a while. They're going to fall off so much quicker than what you can start a new plate that you're eventually going to have less done because you're just not trying to spin 3 plates and watching those 3 plates. So my answer to that, Craig, is yes, we need to say no, honestly, to more than we say yes to. And if you're under the mentality that, hey, I'm just going to push through, I'm going to work more, and I think that's I think you're fooling yourself or you're cheating. But if you say, I don't have to say no to anybody, you really are saying no to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because you're just not getting it done.
Right. So let's go back to what you talked about at the very beginning of this episode. And Jess, your wife, asking, what can we do to help you basically unplug when you get home from work?
Yeah.
I had this flashback of when I was working in radio and manager of a station and taking work home. When you own something, okay, I didn't own the radio station, but I was responsible for it. Same thing with the real estate media business I had initially. When you own something, you feel a personal responsibility to that. There's a sense of pride of ownership, right? Mm-hmm. You run it different than when you're, in a lot of cases, I shouldn't generalize. You run it differently than when you're just an employee of a business.
For sure.
The employee doesn't necessarily have the same passion and buy-in, unless there's been a great culture built, that the owner does. Okay. So when you come home, you've got everything you still need to get done and do and invest in. And when I was doing that, especially with the radio station, I learned a little bit after that with the business that I had. You lose your family because you're not mentally there for them.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous. So
it is.
Let's tie it back in then. Yeah, you're saying no to something, and it could be your family.
It could be. It could be that I'll loop back around to that. And that's a perfect segue, Craig, into my third question is, what do you need to focus on right now? And this is what I have written down here. You know what I have top of my list? Do you need to focus on your family right now?
Yeah.
Do you need to focus on your marriage? Maybe it's falling apart. Maybe your children. Maybe you just need to spend more time with your children. You're becoming disconnected.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to focus on your financials. Maybe you need to focus on innovating. Maybe you need to focus on your business. I mean, business was the last thing that I said there. Because again, if you are broken and have some parts that you need to focus on, you're not going to work. It's not going to work in your business. You're just only going to be able to will yourself through it so much before you go, why did I ever start this thing? This thing's not going to work. I'm never going to make any money. I've invested all this in my equipment. Nobody likes my photography. Everybody has a problem. I don't like working with realtors, and I can't find anybody to hire. And the list is going to go on and on and on. And you're going to dig yourself this deep hole of sorrow because I've done it. I have done it. And it's tough to get out of.
Yeah.
So you have to focus on it. It's called burnout. And you have to realize that, and you have to focus on what you need as a human being to make sure that you can walk into your business and you can be effective.
So going back again, just personal anecdote, we try to be transparent here. Back when I was, again, in radio, I was at that point of burnout, Todd, and for the first time in my life, and I'm no longer doing this, but I invested in a counselor, a work / spiritual / personal counselor, because I was at my wit's end. I was frayed. And the exact phrase he said is, Craig, you are burned crispy right now. I will never forget those words. I was so burned out. And at that exact spot that you just described, where you've lost all your passion for what your calling was, what your passion was, and it can implode your life. And we don't want that for you. We've been there. Todd has lived it. I've lived it. It's, what do you need to say no to, and what do you need to focus on? What is really important? Yes, we're in this to make the business work for us. We need to make a living. We need to make some money, take care of ourselves, our family. But how much is enough? I guess that's the question I have is how much is enough, and that's just the question. How much is enough, and what's really important?
At what cost? How much is enough at what cost?
Right. Yeah. It's easy to keep just, I don't know. I'm getting a little overwhelmed right now, I guess. Sorry, Todd. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. Let me just tell you. So this is, like Craig said, we're transparent. I just went through this. Like, I had this point where my wife's like, hey, how can we get you to not, how can we get you to break your focus from work when you get home?
Right.
So here's what I did.
Okay.
Here's what I did. So one, I had like, it was a little bit of a wake up. Like, I noted that, like, I was like, okay, wait a minute. Like, she supported me for the last over 20 years. Cause we dated prior to me starting this business. And I was running other, it was photography and video and other businesses. And so she's always supported me. She's not asking that because she doesn't support me. She's actually asking me that because she supports me so much.
Yeah. So
it's like, whoa, Todd, wait a minute. This is a very valid, like, red flags went off there. It's taken me a long time to learn this. Like, a husband and wife situation, like, I used to be pretty bullheaded. I was like, okay, wait a minute. She has a lot of insight and thought, and she's probably thought about this question a long time. So first off, I recognized it. That was the idea of, okay, that was kind of like my question number one. Where am I at halfway through this year? Like, she throws this thing in, like, I had to pause. I asked you where you're at with your goals, because if your ship is off course, then let's not keep going that direction. When my wife asked me that question, like, wait a minute, this doesn't align with why I started these businesses. I started these businesses for me and the family, and so that we could do what we wanted to do, and the businesses worked for me. So I paused. I thought about it. And here's some actionable things that I did since then. One, I removed all of the input off of my phone. So I have a problem that if it's on my phone, I will check it. Even if I leave it in another room, I'll find a reason to walk back through this way. I'll check it, and then I'll become just completely engulfed in it again. So I removed it from my phone. Now, what I didn't do is just let all that go. So prior to doing that, I had a meeting with my team, and I said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I have found that when these communication channels are on my phone, I just can't focus. And I am spending too much time in it, which means I come back the next day and I'm not as mentally focused and refreshed. So I can't actually do anything the next day because I'm so much less efficient, because I'm looking at my phone 24 hours a day.
Yep.
And then I said, I am happy to help with any situation that comes up, but this is how you need to contact me. So the employees, they have my cell phone number. They know how to get to me. They know how to get to me when I'm at home. And I trust them with that. I trust them that if there's these red flag situations, and for some of them, I defined it for my leaders at wow. I just trust them that if they need to get to me, they know, like, I trust that they're calling me for a good reason. Right. Now with my team at Spiro, I said, if these things are happening, this is when you can contact me. So I set some ground rules. And I also told the team why. So it's yes for me, but it's for you guys and for our clients, so that I can come in and I can actually push us along. So I took communication off my phone, but I have a safeguard in there that my team can get me after hours when they see something that I need to handle. The other thing I did, and this was planned out for quite some time. So don't think you just need to go and do this, number two, because it could actually ruin your business. Number two is I've brought on more people to the team. So I had one start, a key person for Spiro, Shannon. Y'all meet Shannon. You're going to love her. She helped me build WOW. Yeah. You'll get to know her. She came on, started last week. We have another customer support person starting next week, and we have another developer. We're interviewing for a developer right now. So I've realized that we grew, and I was just throwing it on my back and my team's back, and it wasn't healthy for me. It wasn't healthy for them. Right. I assessed the financials. I understood what it meant to hire, and I made the decision to hire. So that was number two. And again, just be careful with that. I'm not saying if you feel overworked right now, you need to go hire 3 people. Please, we'll go into hiring in another podcast, but I'm just not like, don't get that sensation that you're going to hire and everything's going to be better. You're actually going to make more work for yourself in the intermediate time when you hire. Mm-hmm. So you have to kind of know what you're getting into.
Right.
So that's what I've done. And then number 3, I've focused on what's important. Family's the most important to me. Okay. So we had dinner with friends last night. So like, that's some of the things, like I realized that I needed to have some interaction outside of work.
Yes.
I love the kids, but I need to have some time with my wife and with some other adults so my brain can relax and then I can go back home to my kids. I'm happy again, piggyback rides, pickleball, whatever they want to do. I have the energy for that. And then because I've done that, I come back in the next morning, I'm ready to kill it in the office because I've actually had a correct balance of what my life needs.
Preach, Todd.
And but you know what, Craig, I fooled myself thinking that my work was valid. 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. in the office, and then checking my phone until 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. Like I thought I was just doing this great thing and I was patting myself on the back. Like, look at all these hours you can work, Todd. And I was wrong. Like I took pride in the fact that I was in the office 12 hours a day and I put 3 more in at home. No, I was just dumb. Todd, you big dummy. You are doing this wrong.
Let me ask you something real quick. You've done that before. This is going to be a blunt question.
Yeah.
You've done that before in your past and realized what you were doing and corrected that. Mm-hmm. And yet you've slipped back into that again. Mm-hmm. Is it easy to slip in and out of that?
Oh, it is. It is, because as an owner, you get the sensation when things are going well. And I shared some of our numbers, like we're up 20%, 30% for the month at WOW and 20% for the year. And so, and that percent, and not bragging here, but we do a lot of revenue at WOW. So increasing that by 20% is a really good thing. Mm-hmm. Like that's a lot of money. And you get this sensation and building with Spiro and growing the team, and y'all are coming in and it's great to talk to you guys, and signups and users are going up like crazy. You get this sensation that you can do anything, and you get, I don't know what it's even called. I'm sure there's been plenty of people that have written books about it. I need to do a little research on it, but you begin fooling yourself thinking that what you do is the most important and you're this cornerstone and this pin to your business. And if you do that, you are building yourself a disaster.
Yeah.
And like, Shannon came in and she's like, right now, when many of you, so our users think of Spiro, they think of me. And again, I'm the face on this podcast, and a lot of you think of Craig, but you get me in chat, you get me on demos and tech support and things like that. You get me on Facebook. And right now that's a problem because I can't help all of you.
Right.
So if people think of you as your business, you need to begin removing yourself. And it might not be right now. It might be down the road. But you need to think about how can you get people to love more than you at your business. And I fell into that many years ago at WOW, Craig. Mm-hmm. And WOW was Todd and Todd was WOW. And I had the same problem. And it took me a lot longer to recognize it. and almost to disaster, literally almost to disaster. And then I started putting people in place and putting processes in place and putting systems in place. And the coolest thing is now we had 100 new clients month to date. So we're recording the very end of June. We had 100 new clients come into WOW this last month. Not one of them even knows who I am. Not even one of them. So that's the beautiful thing.
There's two ways you can look at that. You can look at that from a negative standpoint and, well, what's my relevance? There might be a little bit hit to your pride of, well, somebody else is doing this for me. You lose control. Or you look at it from the positive standpoint. I'm making the business work for me so that Todd can go home and spend some time with his kids. That's the more important part. We got to take our ego out of this, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And I have one.
I think we all do. I think we all do if we're honest with ourselves. Yeah, we got to take our ego out of it and invest in the systems and in the people around you, and the goals, and what's systems do you have around hitting those goals where you're not totally stressed out. Can I make two book suggestions that tied in directly with and we're not getting any sort of kickback on these books, so like we're not Amazon affiliates or anything. But you talked about, I love this, and this is hard to do, but you talked about taking inputs off your cell phone. So do you mean, what do you mean, first of all, before I suggest the book, what do you mean by that? Like, what did you remove from your phone, just for practical examples?
Yeah. So email, chat support, all of the things that were pinging me that were, that I was reactive to. So any program, I literally uninstalled it and got rid of it. Anything that I found myself continuing to come back and check, it's gone. It's off my phone. That
sounds pretty extreme to some people, probably. But
pressing on that app, long pressing it and going to install was pretty, I was like, am I really going to do this? Because this was my friend. I check it 300 times a day, right? Like getting rid of that thing. And again, I let the team know what was going to happen. I felt a little bit better because I knew that if I had to be involved, then I would get involved. And also, I trust my team. That's what they're there for. I'm only stepping on their toes when I do their job. I trust them. So Todd, get out of that. Let them take care of it and trust that they're going to contact you when they need you. And you know what? None of them have contacted me.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. I think about, I'm on an iPhone, and those little red dots, those notification dots, it's like, I got to clear those. That's bugging me. Boy, it's hard, but the freedom you find in that is so much better for your mental health. Lower your anxiety level. So the first book, and I think I've mentioned this book on the podcast before, that ties directly into that. And that's actually exactly what this author talks about. His name's John Mark Comer, Comer. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. Excellent book. It's really challenging. Like, I'm not doing everything in that book that he talks about, but it has me thinking about what do I need to say no to? What do I need to remove from my life so that I can focus on, going back to Todd's first 2 points here, focus on what's really important. So John Mark Comer, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. I'll put this in the show notes. And then you talked about setting boundaries, basically, right? You got to set boundaries for yourself and for your business and for your family. You got to protect your family, assuming you have a family, or maybe you're thinking about starting one or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a book simply called Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud. Excellent book. I would really suggest reading that one if you haven't yet. Awesome.
Thank you for those, Craig.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick those up, and because I have not read either, I want to get to that. The first one, you said it's The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
Yeah. It'll kick your butt.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
I need it. I'm a whole bunch of messed up sometimes. So I, I need all the help I can get.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hey, if y'all need a system out there, so I'm not saying that this is what your gap is right now, but if you need a streamlined system, we have got a system for you at Spiro. You can find out more, spiro.media. It's taken us 20 years to build it to this point. If that's what you're finding you're spending more time on, and you're just from ordering, you're typing in orders, your clients can't orders, you're invoicing, your delivery, why do I have to email my editors? I'm just looking to streamline this. If that is one of the things you wrote down and you don't have a system, or your system's not working for you, Spiro.media. It's free to sign up, free to try out. We'd love to talk to you about it. And at the same time, if you did not write down system, then don't let me sell you on Spiro. Okay. If that's not your problem, what I want you to focus on is the thing you wrote down. Okay. You need to say no to something. Then what do you want to focus on? Don't let me add to your list. I can do that. I don't want to influence you to add it to your list. So focus on what your number one is. If you wrote down that you need systems and processes, we've got it for you.
Yeah. Look at what your goals were at the beginning of the year, assess where you are now, make the course corrections that you need to, and use these as your criteria in summary. So first, you're recognizing what your goals are and where you're at. Then what do I need to say no to? So make a list of the things that are getting you off course or taking your focus off of what needs to be done. And what do I need to focus on right now? So there's the three things that are your assignment this week.
Yeah.
And it's a good week to do it, because when this airs, it'll be the week of the 4th of July, which typically slows down a little bit. So you should have some extra time to do this.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, Todd, thank you for basically bearing your soul to us. I think a lot of people are going to really identify with what you've described. They're feeling the pressure themselves. But I think this is a breath of fresh air. You know, the name Spiro, if you don't know, do you want to explain that real quick? What does Spiro even mean?
Yeah, Spiro is a Latin word, and it means to breathe. So when we were looking for names to call the software, that one stuck out to us because it allows you to breathe, because you know that the system's working for you. It allows you flexibility and time, and it just expands what you're able to do, and it's automated, so you don't have to do a lot of it. So we just love that word when it came out, or when we found it, and we looked at literally it's so hard to name anything nowadays because every domain name's taken. And when we saw that one, it just really stuck out to us. We're like, that is it. That's what it's done for us. And that's what it's done for our current users and can do for you.
So that's why at the end of every episode, I always like to remind you, take a breath, Spiro, and take some time to be thankful for the blessings in your life. That's how we're going to end it this week. We'd love to hear your comments, maybe experiences, things that you've learned over the years in managing stress, anxiety, activity. We'd love to hear from you. You can leave a comment either in the YouTube channel or drop us an email. Just write us at hello@spiro.media. If you've got some topic ideas, things related to running a business that you're kind of wondering about, let us know. We'll try and cover that here in the podcast. And if we don't know the answer, we'll find somebody that does and bring them on to share their knowledge and pass that on to you and learn from them ourselves as well. So guys, thank you so much. We just love this time with you. We appreciate the fact that you've decided to watch or listen. If you found some value in this episode or in the podcast as a whole, we'd love for you to subscribe. That helps you get notifications when a new episode drops, which is typically on Tuesdays or Wednesdays of each week. And feel free to share it. We'd love to just share this with others. So we appreciate you doing that. We don't expect it, but we do appreciate it. So, all right, you guys have a great week. Enjoy your week of 4th of July off if you're here in the States. And those of you worldwide, make sure you take a breath and be thankful for your blessings. Have a good one.
Thank you for joining us for the Spiro Podcast, Managing Your Real Estate Photography and Videography Business. This is a production of Spiro and Wow Video Tours. You can find out more about Spiro's real estate media business management software at our website, spiro.media.